Hello, my name is Chrissy Champagne, and you are listening to Residue, a true crime podcast dedicated to keeping you paranoid. You are listening to episode 41 of Residue, titled Love Thy Neighbor. We've all had neighbors that we can't stand, but this one is the most ridiculous case I have ever heard. This is the case of Anna Weed and her neighbor Hector Campos. Texas is a stand your ground state, which means that people don't have to retreat before you use force in self-defense. And this law applies when someone perceives a threat to their life or their safety. To qualify as self-defense, the accused must reasonably believe force was necessary to stop or prevent the target's use of unlawful force, not provoke the unlawful force, not be engaging in a crime, use the minimum force reasonably necessary to defend oneself or another in the situation, be lawfully where you are supposed to be, and the use of force must be deemed reasonable and necessary and be proportional to the other person's use of unlawful force. For example, you can use deadly force to prevent arson, burglary, robbery, aggravated robbery, home invasion, criminal mischief during the nighttime. You can also use deadly force to prevent someone fleeing with property after they have committed the burglary. The Stand Your Ground law used to be known as the Castle Doctrine, meaning that people should have the right to self-defense when in a private space and be able to protect themselves and protect their home. Basically, you can't just use force against somebody because they're verbally assaulting you. It has to be a reasonable use of force in a situation that is going to jeopardize your life. It is a sunny day on January 24th, 2017, and Travis Hoppus is at his parents' house working on a project. He's outside in his driveway helping with a project for his parents, and he notices his parents' neighbors, Anna Weed and Hector Campos, talking. He sees a situation start to erupt. He sees Anna's dog, who was a miniature schnauzer, and this dog runs towards Hector. Now, Hector's in his yard, Anna's in her yard, and they're each on their own property line, but the two are arguing about something. Travis keeps paying attention. He says that he sees Hector go to kick Anna's dog because the dog ran towards Hector. She screams, "Don't kick my dog." And Hector shoots her right through the heart. If you feel like that part just came up very suddenly and very abruptly, well, that's what everyone else in the neighborhood felt like. Travis was a gun owner, as most people in Texas are. So Travis ran into his parents' garage, grabbed his gun, ran over to where this altercation was taking place. He runs to Anna's side. She's on the ground. He gets down next to her. He's trying to give her some first aid. He's got his gun pointed out at Hector. Hector has now decided to just lay flat down on his stomach, put both arms out, and leave his gun by his side. Travis is screaming for Scott. Scott is Anna's husband. Now, Scott Weed comes running down the stairs, comes flying out of his home. He runs to his wife's side. He also has a gun. Now, he has a gun pulled on Hector. So we have 3 guns now sitting in on this situation. At this point, police are going to start to arrive. During all of this chaos, during the screaming and the police sirens, Travis, the neighbor, starts trying to tell Scott, you have to talk to your wife. You have to tell your wife that you love her. Because at this point, it does not look good for Anna Weed. Police are now on the scene and they are just as confused as everyone else. Why did this happen? This shooting occurred on a property line, and now Hector is going to say immediately that he was trying to protect himself. But he is escorted into a cop car and he says, "I want to speak to my attorney." And at this point, he's not going to say anything else. Anna was shot in her chest and it blew out her bottom 2 ventricles of her heart. She was also, at the time, already wearing a neck brace because she had just had surgery. The doctors couldn't bring her back, and Anna was gone. "53-year-old Anna Weed was the firstborn in her family. She was the oldest of 6 children. There were 3 boys and 3 girls, and most people in their neighborhood called them the Brady Bunch. Anna was funny, smart, and very protective, especially over all of her younger brothers and sisters. Her mother said that she was like a little mama. As Anna got older, she married and had her own children, 2 sons. She soon divorced their father, but she ended up meeting Scott. And Scott said that Anna was the love of his life. Anna was his soulmate. The day of the altercation, Anna was actually inside wrapping presents before she took her dog on a walk. She was wrapping presents because she was only a few weeks away from meeting her brand new grandbaby. Anna was going to be a grandmother. So what the hell happened here? How could such a simple little altercation between 2 neighbors who have lived next door to each other for around 8 years at this point, how could it escalate to this point where within a mere matter of minutes, Hector is pulling a gun out and shooting Anna straight through the heart? So, Hector's sitting inside of an interrogation room now, and he is ready to talk. They say that he showed absolutely no emotion during this interrogation. Hector says he was outside cleaning his brother's truck, and Anna's dog just kept coming into his yard and coming at him. So he kicked it. Well, he kicked at it, he said. He said that when Anna started screaming at him to leave her dog alone, that she had a package of packing tape in her hand, a clear packing tape package in her hand. You know those things like you can kind of almost wear it as a bracelet? So he says that Anna's holding that and she starts to come towards him and she's pushing him and she seems very aggressive towards him. And he says she came at my neck with the tape. But he didn't understand that it was tape at that point. So in a self-defense moment, he shot her. Okay, so Hector's not going to be able to use the stand your ground law defense because they were both on their own property when this happened. But what he is going to use is something called mistake of fact, meaning even if the shooter mistakenly believed that they saw a weapon, even if it wasn't a weapon, this law says that they are justified in using deadly force. What the fuck is this law? So let's talk more about mistake of fact. Mistake of fact is a type of defense that can be used in a criminal case to demonstrate that the defendant did not have the criminal intent to commit a crime. Hector is saying that he had reason to believe that Anna had a weapon in her hand. He didn't process it quick enough to realize that she was just holding packing tape from earlier in the day when she had just finished wrapping a present for her grandbaby. He's saying he didn't know what it was in her hand, that she was just coming straight towards him, and she also had a dog who seemed to be a threat to him. So he said he shot to protect himself. Now, there is also another law that Hector is going to use as a defense, and this is called the apparent danger law. Apparent danger is a legal term that describes a danger that appears from acts or conduct that will indicate a plan to cause great personal injury or to kill someone. Now, why would he think that? And that is because this isn't the first time that Anna Weed and Hector Campos have gotten into a neighborly feud. Their feud has been going on for a couple years now, and police are now going to start digging into the real reason why Hector was so angry with Anna. First of all, police are going to find out that Hector has called 911 on Scott and Anna numerous times. Most of the 911 calls are going to be about Anna's dogs. He's annoyed with their barking. He's annoyed with the neighbors being loud. So, okay, he's upset with the dogs, but there's other 911 calls where Hector's calling, and wait, hold on. Can you call 911 about barking dogs? Seems a little extreme, but he also called 911 saying that Scott Weed was threatening him. And now in this 911 phone call, when police responded to the scene, to both houses, and if I didn't explain it earlier, these two live directly next door to each other. It looks like they could share a driveway if they needed to. So he calls and says that the Weeds are being very threatening, and when police show up, they did actually have to restrain Anna during this altercation because they said that Scott and Anna both appeared to be inebriated, and Anna was going crazy, yelling, and police had to kind of calm her down. So Hector's using that as his defense of apparent danger. He's not sure what these two are capable of. But why are they so angry with each other? It can't just be about barking dogs because, my neighbor's dogs bark nonstop, and I love my neighbor. They're the sweetest people ever. I am so much more thankful for the neighbors that I do have after researching this case. Hector will tell police that when he was about to shoot Anna, all that was going through his head was he's scared. He doesn't understand what she's going to do because he has seen her get a little angry. But he also says something that strikes the officers as strange. Hector says, "I didn't know when I was going to see my daughter again." But what does that have to do with Anna? Police start interviewing Anna's family, and they find out that Anna's mother, at one point, she had gone next door to Hector's home. Now, they believed that Hector lived there by himself, but she knocked on the door, and when she did, Hector answered the door, and there was a young woman behind him. And Anna's mother was asking, who is this young woman? Let's introduce ourselves. Hector says, "This is my wife, Letty." Now, Anna's mother, Virginia, she's just dumbfounded. She's like, "You have a wife? We have lived next door to each other for 8 years. Never, ever once, not even for a second, did they ever see Letty exit that home." And now they're going to try and befriend Letty. So they actually start inviting her over to hang out because Anna and Scott had a nice in-ground pool, and they said, "You know what? Come on over. It's a very hot summer. Let's hang out." Letty takes them up on this, and as she starts to get closer and closer to Anna and her mother Virginia, she starts to let out a couple secrets about Hector. One secret she lets out is that she's pregnant, and she is now becoming so close to Anna and Virginia and Scott that they all actually throw Letty a baby shower. She had no other friends. She knew nobody in this community. She was from Mexico. She had stated a couple of times that she would love to go back to Mexico to visit her family, especially when the baby was born, because she wanted to bring her baby to meet her entire family. So at this point, Anna and Letty are becoming very close, and Letty starts to tell her things about Hector, really crazy, creepy things like Hector deadbolts Letty inside of the home and tells her that she cannot go outside into the outside world because it's too dangerous. She'll be raped, she'll be kidnapped, she'll be killed. It is now February 2016, and Letty gives birth to a baby girl. It's at this point that she is just begging Hector to just let her go back to Mexico for a little bit and visit her family. And surprisingly, Hector agrees. He buys her the ticket to get on the plane, and everything seems perfectly fine until the day of the flight. Hector decides she's not fucking going anywhere. Letty is, of course, just distraught. Now, the plan was that Letty was going to get on the plane. Hector was fine with it. And Anna was going to actually be her driver to drive her to the airport that day. So Anna still drives Letty to the airport with her baby daughter. And she pays for the tickets. She's like, you know what? You're getting on that plane. You're going to go see your family. And I'm going to take care of this for you. The only problem with this for Anna is that Letty never came home. Letty escaped that day with her daughter. And that is wonderful. And Anna helped. But now Hector has it out for Anna. Because now Hector thinks that the only reason he lost his family, his beautiful wife and his beautiful daughter, was because of Anna. Not because Hector locked his wife in a home and never let her out for 8 years, but because Anna was a good friend and lent her the money to go see her family. So, police now know there is so much more to this case than they could have ever imagined. This is not a stand your ground, a matter of fact, a mistake of fact. This is not an apparent danger. This is a retaliation case. Anna Weed knew Hector's secrets, and Hector wanted Anna dead. Anna Weed helped his estranged wife and daughter leave, and this was his motive. So the district attorney is going to accept this murder charge of first-degree murder, and Hector will be arrested. He is let out on a $50,000 bond. So for him to get out on a $50K bond, he would have to give them $5,000. So what they do is they take away his passport, they make him wear a GPS ankle bracelet, and he's on home arrest until the trial starts. Yeah, only problem is he lives right next door to the victim's family. Hector was released on bond because he had no prior criminal history. His gun was lawful. Everyone knew and everyone testified for Hector that he minded his own business. He was a hard worker. I mean, Hector was back home within 12 hours of being arrested. Joshua Fanko was the Harris County Assistant DA at the time, and he says that the burden is now going to shift to the state to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it wasn't self-defense. The prosecution knows that they're going to have to talk to Letty, and they start the task of trying to find out where Letty is. We have to ask her some questions. They actually find out that Letty did come home. She did come back to Texas, but she didn't go anywhere near Hector. She went straight to a women's shelter. But they only had a brief conversation with Letty, and she wouldn't admit to anything. She said there was no physical abuse. She was very reluctant to speak to any of the prosecution team or any of the cops. This is now going to become a 100% case of he said, she said. Except that she was shot through the heart with a gun. So she can't say anything. And now they're going to have to figure out a way without the testimony of Letty to prove that Hector 100% wanted Anna dead. While Hector is awaiting trial, he gets a call from Dr. Phil and his team, and Dr. Phil wants to know if Hector would come on the show and talk about what happened. So Dr. Phil's team also calls Anna's family, and they're like, look, we're asking Hector to come on this show and talk about his side of the story. Do you all want to come and join? And, you can have your say. Of course they're going to go. But their lawyers are telling them not to. They're like, you guys, you cannot go on the Dr. Phil show. This could really ruin our chances of winning this case because something could be said that could be taken out of context, and it's kind of a bad idea to go on this show. But everybody goes on the show. They interview Hector separately from Anna's family. Hector tells his side. Anna's family tells her side. After Hector returns home from the Dr. Phil show, he fires his defense attorneys, he sells his house, he sells everything that he owns, and he hires the absolute best defense attorney that his money can buy. And that was Chip Lewis. He hired Chip Lewis in 2020. Chip Lewis is one of the greatest trial attorneys, and he represented Robert Durst. It took 5 years and 5 months after the murder of Anna Weed for this trial to begin, because along with Hurricane Harvey, the COVID pandemic also started. So everything got pushed back, and in June of 2022, the trial finally begins. This is going to be a self-defense murder case. The defense is going to now make Hector look like this sweet, innocent person. He actually testified on his own behalf, and he was calm, cool, collected. He was not nervous at all. Hector said that his neighbors, the Weeds, would drink and swear at him all the time. There was one juror on here. Her name was Juanita Salinas, and she was on the jury and said that hearing all of this stuff about the Weeds did put a little doubt in her mind. The defense is making Hector look like an everyday, normal person to this jury. One local news channel also televised that there was a fight, an argument between Anna's family and Hector as he sat in the defense chair. They started an argument so badly that one of the members of Anna's family had to be removed from the courtroom. The defense also had Hector's brother get up on the stand and just talk about what an amazing person he was. But no matter how hard the defense tried to make Hector look like he was this wonderful member of society, it didn't work. And in the end, Hector Campos was found guilty of first-degree murder. Hector Campos was sentenced to 45 years in Texas State Correctional Facility. He would spend the next 45 years behind bars. Immediately after the trial, Anna's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Hector Campos, and the family was awarded a $70 million judgment. Anna Weed was a 53-year-old soon-to-be grandmother, just going about her normal, everyday routine of walking her dogs, wrapping some presents for her future grandchild. Her husband was homesick in bed with bronchitis that day. She was taking care of him. Her mother was visiting. Her mother helped walk one of the other dogs. Anna just decided to go out, walk her dog, and never had any clue that she would never step back into her home again. Just think about the fact that when you go take your dog for a walk, you think you're only going to be gone about 20 minutes. You're going to be home soon. You're going to enjoy dinner with your family. Does it ever cross your mind that you could get into an argument with one of your neighbors and they're just going to shoot you? That is crazy. It really starts to make you wonder, like, how close should I get to my neighbors? Should I really be getting so close to them that I'm helping them buy plane tickets to escape their abusive husband? Or should I just say hello when I see them outside and go about my day? I tend to be the type of person that I love to get along with my neighbors. I watch out for my neighbors, even when they don't know I'm watching out for them. And they do the same for me. But is it a little too close to home when we become very, very close with our neighbors? On the other hand, Anna could have saved Letty's life. We don't know what would have happened to Letty if she didn't make that friendship, create that bond with her neighbors. We could have never even known that Letty even existed. Did you know that if you Google how to get along with your neighbors, they'll actually give you tips on how to get along with other human beings that live in your neighborhood, which seems kind of crazy to me, that these are just logical things you should know. Like, some of the ways they tell you to get along with them is say hello, smile and say hello. I mean, that's obvious. Or introduce yourself. If you're new to the area, if they're new to the area, say hello. Offer help when you see them with little things like, carrying their groceries in or getting their mail for them when they're away on vacation. Do people still do that? Be respectful. Avoid gossiping. That should be something that happens in every aspect of your life. They also say to be courteous with your pets. These are just simple human ways to get along with each other. But we never know who is going to move in next door and create a problem that we are not going to know how to solve. Anna's husband, Scott Weed, could not live without his soulmate. Scott ended up finding comfort in liquor. He ended up drinking himself to death. Scott's brother would be the one to find him unconscious in his home. We should all be thankful for neighbors like Travis Hoppus or Anna Weed, who helped out a young woman in trouble, a young single mother. Travis Hoppus left the comfort and safety of his parents' home. He ran over to a situation that he did not need to enter. He ran over with a gun and he helped the situation. These are the types of neighbors we should feel thankful for. But the next time you are outside and you see that moving truck pull up, start unloading furniture into the empty house next door, just cross your fingers and make a wish that these are going to be good neighbors, because we never know what we're going to get. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Residue. I appreciate you all coming back every week. It means the world to me. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, it's Residue Podcast. On Facebook, Residue, a true crime podcast. TikTok, Residue Podcast. And I also have a new website that's pretty lame, but one day I'll make it better. It is residuepodcast.com. Send me some messages. Let me know if there are any stories from your hometown that you would like me to cover. And also, if you had a little time, could you please leave me a 5-star review? It really helps the show. It really helps other people like yourselves find Residue and be able to enjoy it. It also helps me because I really want to know what you guys think about Residue. I put a lot of work into this each week. Writing, editing, hosting, researching, and I love it. I just hope that you do too. Thank you so much. And until next time, stay safe and stay paranoid.